ते तिष्ठन्ति राजसा जगन्यगुणवृत्तिस्था अधो गच्छन्ति तामसा. So Krishna is telling, those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planetary system, higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. So yeah, so this is a description of three modes of material nature. There are three modes of material nature. Uh, all of you must be knowing about them. Just like it's very common. We always get to hear those words. There's something called as Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna, which is mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So actually, this verse is basically how the soul. We know all know that we are not this body. We are not material body. We are actually soul. So there is transmigration of soul from different bodies, one body to another body. All of this we have discussed earlier only. So this purport is basically based on that. Before we see the purport, I just want to discuss something about these gunas. So yeah. So basically, there are three modes of three modes, as we all know. So what are three modes? So actually, when we are in this material world now, so we perceive that material world through these modes. So we see our external world through these modes, and these modes actually what they do. They first thing they shape our perception. How do we perceive this world? And second, what response we give to this world. So two things this modes does to us. One thing is how do we perceive, and second thing is how do we respond to in this world. So let us take an example how the modes affect our perception. So let us say that we are in a bus. Let us take an example. Visualize a situation that where we are in a bus moving, and there are three people sitting in that bus. One of them is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Three are there. So Sattva is reading a book. Three people are there. So he is telling that. So he's reading a book, and as the bus is moving, there is a bump which comes. So as bump comes, so Sattva sees that there is like he gets disturbed, no, because of his reading gets disturbed. So he said that he sees outside, and there is a green forest is there, very nice trees are there. Then he sees outside. He says, "It would be so nice if I can just sit under a tree and assimilate all the wisdom of this book." And then Tamas is watching a movie. Rajas is watching a movie, let's say. And as soon as the bump comes, his movie gets disturbed. And then he also sees outside the green forest. And then he, thinks that it will be so nice that it can have, let's say, a friend, a couple like that, a girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. It would be so nice if I can just roam around with him or her, dance with him or like that. So he thinks like that. And then Tamas is also there. He's sleeping, and his sleeps get disturbed. So what he's thinking, he sees as he sees outside, he sees that it would be so nice if he can just go inside that under a tree and just sleep comfortably. So the three people were there. All three they perceive that green forest in different ways. So this is how the modes, change our perception. They direct our perception. How do we see the world? So as actually what happens in our own, every one of us are like mixed with all these three modes. It's not that one is completely 100% sattva and one other is completely 100% tamas. We are combination of all these three, all the modes of material nature. All of us. Because we do sleep, right? And we do read books sometimes. So all these things are there. The thing is, which is more prominent. So now, depending on which mode is prominent, our perception and our action will be determined. So one example we saw how our perception gets affected when we based on our modes of material nature, which is more prominent. Then second thing is how our response gets affected. Let us see that example. So let us say that same three people are there, Tattva, Rajas, and Tamas, and now let's say they are maybe they are in some theater or somewhere, and they're watching movie. Suddenly, what happens? Some fire comes. Some fire comes in that whole thing. And so now we are taking example how that mode of goodness, sorry, how these three modes affect the response. So now what Tamas sees, as soon as Tamas sees that fire, he terrorizes and he freezes, like nothing, nothing to do. Matlab, his brain stops to work. He don't know what to do. Suddenly fire has come. Now he freezes. And Rajas, he starts running towards the exit door to just save himself. And Sattva, he thinks, he sees where is fire extinguisher and he tries to extinguish the fire. Now, if you see three examples, one in the case of Tamas, there is no action and there is no reflection. Nothing is there. He's just frozen. In case of Rajas, there is action, but there is no reflection. He's not thinking, he's just running away from that place. But in the person who is mode of goodness, the sattva, he is thinking, what is the best action which I can do? So he goes to the fire extinguisher and he tries to extinguish the fire itself. So here there is action also and there is reflection also. So from this example, we can see that actually the mode of goodness is the most beneficial for all our well-being, not just for spirituality actually in all material sense also. So mode of goodness is the most beneficial thing for all of us. And as our body's material nature is there, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that it's like permutation and combination of all three modes which exist in our this thing. Sometimes Rajat is prominent, sometimes Tamat is prominent, sometimes goodness Sattva is prominent. Now the thing is, all these qualities get developed by so many factors. They get affected by so many factors. That means we can develop Sattva Guna. And based on our so many factors, we'll discuss a few of them. I'll tell one example. For example, so how many ways we get this kind of desires, like the three responses we saw and three perceptions we saw. How do we get those all? So one of them is like you can say your karma, basically previous life karma, or you may say that the kind of choices we make, the association we keep. Association is very important. Karma we cannot change. Whatever happened in the past life, something we got, we can't change that. But one thing definitely we can say is the association, the culture we are exposed to. And the more we are like this kind of sessions, Bhagavad Gita discussion, it increases our sattva guna, the kind of food we eat, the kind of association we keep, the thoughts we cultivate. Now, these things shape our good modes. So if our thoughts, our association, the books we read, the information we put in our brain, these kind of things are in mode of goodness, then naturally those thoughts and those actions will be the immediate response if something comes to us. Just say, let's take an example. Imagine in one of the afternoon, we take heavy lunch, and then we go out to read. We want to read basically, and then we sit on a chair which is like that kind of chair which is like slope is there and we like a sleeping mode. We sleep and we try to read. Then naturally, what will happen? We'll fall asleep. We all know that. We all have that experience. Generally, it happens. Or we go and lie on the bed and then try to read or something. Definitely, we'll fall asleep. Now, this is the environment which we are exposing to. We are like this action is actually bringing more tamas. The basically person wants to sleep. So, what is the best way to read? Let's say you are going in some library. You are taking light food. You are going in library the surrounding, the environment is the reading environment. Everyone is trying to study. So they naturally will feel to read more. Correct now. So the example which I gave was like how things surrounding us change our actions and perceptions and the goodness, the mode of goodness, rajas and tamas or what, all three modes. So all three modes can be cultivated depending on our association we keep or environment we have or the information which we put in our brain. So yeah, so these are the three modes basically. So in short, I'll just explain what all things I discussed in three modes, which is the way through which we perceive the world. We perceive the external world which we see around us, and our actions are also based on three modes. So how do we perceive is I took the example of forest and how our actions are determined. I took one more example of the fire engine. And the important thing is all of us can develop those habits. So which are and also mode of goodness is the most important thing which we can which is which is very beneficial for not just spirituality but also for material well-being also. And these good mode of goodness things can be cultivated. So how do we cultivate? We cultivate through our association, through our information which we put, through our thoughts, through our food also. And for that, I take an example. If we are like eating so much in the afternoon and then trying to read while sleeping or something like on bed, then definitely will fall asleep. That's one way of understanding how surrounding affects. And when we are going in library, etc., we read, and then there naturally will feel like reading. So this is how the surrounding and food or anything changes our modes. Now, having understood the three modes, there are very great details actually in Srimad Bhagavatam and all the scriptures. They have explained in detail. To be short, I explained. Now we can read our purport from Bhagavad Gita, then we'll understand more from there. I'll share my screen once more. Yeah, I hope screen is visible. So let us read that translation once more. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live in earthly planet. Passion means rajas, goodness means sattva. And those in the above imaginable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Now let us read the purport. In this verse, the results of actions in the three modes of nature are more explicitly set forth. There is an upper planetary system consisting of the heavenly planets where everyone is highly elevated. According to the degree of development of the mode of goodness, the living entity can be transferred to various planets in this system. The highest planet is Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where the prime person of this universe, Lord Brahma, resides. We have seen already that we can hardly calculate the wondrous condition of life in Brahmaloka. But the highest condition of life, the mode of goodness, can bring us to this. Now, this particular sloka was, as I said earlier, it is basically based on how soul is transmigrating from one planet to other planet, one body to another body. So, if person is in mode of goodness, sattva, so he goes to upper planetary system. So all of must be knowing some here and there's some information we all have because we are born and brought up in India. We all know there are kind of three lokas we say no, upper planetary system, lower planetary system, and the middle planetary system where Earth is there. There are total altogether there are 14 planetary systems. So Earth is in the middle, there are above and there is below. So all Swarga से लेके Brahma लोका तक, all these are Swarga, मतलब heavenly planets. And then below they are, hellish planets. So that is a whole great description is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is a separate discussion altogether. We'll not go in details on that. So the mode of passion is mixed. Next paragraph. The mode of passion is mixed. It is in the middle between the modes of goodness and ignorance. A person is not always pure, but even if he should be purely in the mode of passion, he will simply remain on this earth as a king or a rich man. But because there are mixtures, one can also go down. People on this earth, in the mode of passion or ignorance, cannot possibly approach the higher planets by machine. In the mode of passion, there is also the chance of becoming mad in the next life. So basically, it is being explained over here is that mode of passion. If we Rajas is more, we will basically in this but earthly planet only will become rich or something like that. We will be there in the earthly planets. And the lowest quality, third paragraph we will read. The lowest quality, the mode of ignorance, is described here as abominable. The result of developing ignorance is very, very risky. It is the lowest quality in material nature. Beneath the human level, there are 8 million species of life, birds, beasts, reptiles, trees, etc. And according to the development of the mode of ignorance, people are brought down to these abominable conditions. The word tamasa is very significant here. Tamasa indicates those who stay continuously in the mode of ignorance without rising to higher mode. Their future is very dark. So, tamas as we saw, na, sattva gun, rajogun, and tamogun. Tamas literally means actually darkness. So the person who is in the mode of prominently in the mode of ignorance or tamogun, as we saw that example, the person, that fire example, the person freezes. Now he doesn't know what to do actually. So the actions, reflections don't come. So like basically people get, so we see that no, in today's world people are so much depressed. They don't know what actually to do in their life. All these things are qualities of this tamagoda only. Because of this, people sometimes they commit suicide also. It's very horrible. So yeah, so we should try to cultivate more, in the sattva guna. We should elevate our consciousness to sattva guna, and it is cultivated. It's not that it's not cultivated. As I discussed that there are surroundings, eating habits, association, these kind of hearings or from Bhagavad Gita. This makes us develop our sattva guna more and more. Now, next paragraph. So there is an opportunity for men in the modes of ignorance and passion to be elevated in the mode of goodness, and that system is called as Krishna consciousness. But one who does not take advantage of this opportunity will certainly continue in the lower modes. So yeah, so those who are in the prominently in the mode of ignorance and passion, what we can do is we can elevate ourselves to pure in the mode of goodness, and this elevation can happen through practice of Krishna consciousness or bhakti practice. So, but one who does not take advantage of this opportunity will certainly continue the lower modes. So if we do not take advantage, so definitely we will be in the lower modes only, because in this world there is law of gravity. It pulls everything below. So if we don't cultivate higher, modes, like elevate ourselves to mode of goodness, then definitely the natural tendency of this material world is we will go down to the mode of rajas and tamas only. So this sloka was majorly based on transmigration of soul. Based on sattva guna, rajaguna, and tamaguna, the soul transmigrates from one planet to the planet of the third planet. So we have heavenly planets, we have earthly planets, and then we have lower hellish planets. So if we are in the mode of goodness prominently, we'll go to Swarga or heavenly planets altogether. If we are in Rajas, we'll prominently in the earthly planets, and if Tamas, then we'll go down to hell. The thing is, whatever we are doing, we are in the material world only. So I'll discuss little bit more on Bhakti Yoga process. So we all have discussed previously that how Bhakti Yoga is the topmost process which actually takes us beyond this material world itself. So although we can be sattva, rajas, and tamas, we are all actually in the gambit of material universe only. So bhakti is the process which not only takes us to sattva, bhakti definitely will take us to sattva guna, but actually it takes us to beyond sattva also. So it can take to pure goodness platform, which ultimately leads us to cross this whole material universe itself to go back to the spiritual world. So yeah, so what we learned in this whole discussion was to cultivate right, habits, right association, right environment, right kind of information which we put in our memory or brain or knowledge or whatever we are getting. So all should be in the mode of goodness. The more we, that there is principle GIGO, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out. The more information of sattva, if we put more sattva, perception and responses will be there. So yeah. So if there is any doubt or any clarification, you can ask, or else we can end over here. Okay. Okay then. We'll end our discussion here. Thank you so much for joining. And it's actually very good that all of you are joining every day. As we discussed that in the purpose, it's like cultivation of habit, good habit, that based on this our we are increasing our sattva guna, and definitely our perceptions and our responses towards the world will definitely change if we rightly cultivate all those habits of sattva. If we don't cultivate, then in the purport we saw that it we naturally go down to the lower modes only. There is no doubt. Thank you very much for joining. All of you can share your learning in the WhatsApp groups we have. Hare Krishna.